Appreciate y'all if y'all hit that like button. Now, this live stream right here, we're going to be able to get into a tool. So astrology is just one tool. All of these are different forms of psychology. And with a psychology, understanding the human psyche. So, you don't want to have a bias towards anything. All things has a tool. And, since a large portion of my audience is into astrology, I figured that could be the first tool right there. That's most easiest for my audience to understand until we start going deeper into it and things of that nature on other live streams. All right, so for the most part, now, so when we start to think about mental illness, this is going to be correlated to your nerve systems. So indirectly, the houses of the third and the sixth, but it's going to be all the mutable houses. But before we get into that, it's going to be a correspondence to your Mercury sign, because your Mercury sign works your nerves before you have something to express with your solar plexus. So Mercury is somewhere between here, like as the fluid itself that connect all your double joints. And then the nighttime of it is below the navel, the sixth house. So this would be the third house above the heart, below the neck, throat chakra, second house. And that's the daytime of Mercury, water cycle. Before you crash that water cycle with another atmosphere to produce a light, a solar plexus in that area to see the world through that character or that expression. Thank you so much for the donation, Cynical Dre. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Real shit. I mean, real stuff. And the nighttime, below the navel, right? Above the waistline. The waistline, seventh house, the navel area and the sternum and the gut, the fifth house, Tribe of Judah house, Leo house, where the solar plexus rule. So right beneath the navel and above the waist, that's where all your nerves spring off to connect all your double joints, like your shoulder blades, your lungs, your kidneys. You have all your veins, your wires. So Gemini and Mercury play as our connection system, our wiring system, our double jointing system. So Gemini play as the third house, but it's really everywhere in your body that has a double joint. And Virgo is the sixth house, but really everywhere in your body that connect all the double joints, your veins. So this is what work your nerve, the third and the sixth house, Virgo and Gemini energy. This is what work your nerve. And if you overthink, Gemini, overanalyze, Virgo, this what makes you develop mental illnesses all the way down to physical illnesses based on the mind bending in on itself and becoming a fleshly fluid, which is adrenaline. And if you do it too much in one area and not spreading it out, based upon having calcified chakras that you're not paying attention to, being aware of your other cells, just develop tissue in areas, because that's how blood accumulate. It makes tissue once they clump up in one area, and once it clump up, it's on its way to making like how we make organs, but you're making tissue in the wrong area, which develop illnesses that we call cancer, diabetes, you know what I'm saying, lupus, all kind of stuff. So if you got Gemini or Virgo on your chart, especially Virgo, and we all got that in our chart, that's going to be the area of life where you could develop an illness the fastest. So you have to be careful if you think too hard about that chakra and that organ, if you don't understand medical astrology. And Kundalini energy, where you can force yourself to heal things by practicing discipline and getting out of lower desires that develop as tissue and illnesses. Learn how to not make your mind so heavy, making it lighter. And therefore, once it's light as ma'at, you're not developing illnesses in your life based upon having mental and emotional intelligence. You see what I'm saying? It all comes together. So we're going to get into each Mercury sign, and we're going to get into each house every individual have to pay attention to, utilizing astrology as a tool if you want to get out of certain forms of mental illnesses. Now, this is just a tool, so it's not going to be the full cure. We got to get into other forms of psychology. We got to get into math. We got to get into the science of it, the anatomy, with how we build adrenaline and stuff like that. That's when we start getting more deeper. Right now, this makes it easy right now for, my audience and, individuals who are into astrology, because this is an easy access to at least cure it a little bit. Now, here's the thing. What you're going to be doing is forcing yourself in these situations because they're not naturally you. When we start to talk about the Mercury sign, it's how well you can utilize your Mercury sign for the opposite energy, the opposite zodiac. For an example, Taurus, your Mercury and how it's utilized, how well you can take that energy and use it for Scorpio type things. Now, little do y'all know, Anytime you're going through an uncomfortable or unfamiliar situation, you are experiencing the opposite element. For an example, let's say you see something you don't like, or you act a certain way and you don't feel as comfortable about the decision that you made before you acted upon something and other people seen it, right? 9 times out of 10, you're in a situation dealing with your opposite element. The people, places, and things don't even have to be that sign, but the situation itself is more percentage level of the element of your opposite element. See what I'm saying? If you're dealing with something when you're emotionally reacting to something and you can't find an emotional connection to make you feel comfortable, so you're in that little fight or flight mode from whatever circumstance it is, right? Your moon sign is in a situation of dealing with the opposite element at the moment. So that's another underlying kicker y'all need to know. Anytime, because astrology is a tool, anytime you are experiencing an uncomfortable situation, it's because the situation energy is dealing with the opposite sign of whatever planet situation you're dealing with. If it's Mars, that's anytime you're dealing with your passions, motivations, and desires. Say something feel like a blockage, or it feel like somebody arguing with you, or it feel like somebody competing with you. It don't matter what sign they actually are, the situation that's causing that event on a percentage level, it is mostly the element that's your opposite sign in that area. So if your Mars is in Scorpio, the situation you're dealing with right now is a Taurus element. So the only reason someone competing with you or something like that and your passions feel like it's getting blocked, right? 9 times out of 10, it got something to do with somebody not having enough money about something, somebody arguing about money, you know what I'm saying? Or something not being grounded, something not being made sense out of before we making our decision to go for something. Like that's going to be the competing energy. That's going to be the frustration you meet. But you have to understand you're actually fighting in front of you the opposite element at that moment. Anytime you experiencing some frustration or some blockage or some not being able to come to a decision or misunderstanding with the outside world. Venus. Anytime you're trying to deal with love matters, appreciation, value, compromising, and things of that nature, and it seems like it's hard or you can't get it together or something like that, even if you're married at the moment, and then y'all start to get to a situation where y'all have to argue or something like that, 9 times out of 10, the situation and the event is the element of your opposite sign. You know what I'm saying? So let's say if your Venus is in Gemini, right? 9 times out of 10, when you're trying to express or compromise with your partner and y'all arguing for a compromising, 9 times out of 10, the compromising going to be about somebody leaving the house too much, somebody being gone too long, traveling, somebody not focusing, being grounded, somebody not using their money for productive things, hippie stuff. You know what I'm saying? AKA the situation is involving your opposite element, Sagittarius. It never fail. Watch, I'm telling y'all, start putting this to the test and start keeping a dream journal and keep a journal for this too and write it down every time you see it. And be like, oh, so all I got to do is learn how to use my energy for the opposite energy, and I could prevent those type of situations from happening. So, but it never failed. Take that science to the sun, your actions, your wants, how you see things from others and how they see you, your mood, your reactions, your needs, and what makes you feel comfortable and what you think would make other people feel comfortable. Mercury, the way you think, communicate, and analyze, and the way people convey their message to you via communication, right? Venus, we just broke that down. Mars, we broke that down. Jupiter, you know what I'm saying? Anytime you're unable to travel, experience, it's hard for you to learn something, even if you're in school, right? It might be a subject matter in school, right, that it's hard for you to learn, but it's other people in that classroom seem like they easy. It's easy for them to learn that science or that math or whatever like that. 9 times out of 10, that classroom element is more of your opposite sign of your Jupiter. See what I'm saying? And since Jupiter moves a sign every year, right, then we're going to have to get into details. It might be the opposite element, just in a different modality. So it might sextile or something like that, but you will still have to take that to consideration. In this aspect, it's still an opposite element. See what I'm saying? So that's why you have to find the opportunity to learn it, aka take more notes or something like that. So it'll still be like a negative sextile playing out. Y'all get the drip? So For the most part, like your Jupiter, your Jupiter can be like in mother truck in Capricorn, right? And anytime you start to experience a blockage of being able to expand on your business or something like that, 9 times out of 10, the reason to that is because you arguing with a family member or something like that, or it's hard to obtain privacy, or it's hard for you to really conduct something, or you ain't got nobody around you can use because they too much in their emotions and their feelings. AKA, you dealing with a situation that's dealing with Cancer, your opposite energy, and that's why your business ain't expanding when you're meeting those situations of frustration at the moment. Y'all get it? Some sad. And it would never fail. It'll never fail. For an example, I'm an Aries, my sun sign. So my actions, anytime it seems like I'm not getting my point across, somebody see me in a negative way or something like that, or they see me in a way that I'm not actually are. They think I'm too aggressive or something like that. And I got to feel like that 9 times out of 10, no matter the zodiac sign, I'm experiencing a situation that's dealing with my opposite element. There's no balance there. I wasn't communicating right. I wasn't communicating relatable enough. Or someone who was communicating to me wasn't communicating relatable enough. We couldn't create no balance. So it became competition or argument. So y'all get it? It never failed. It never failed. So now when I know this, I know anytime I'm in a situation, I know to take my Aries energy to express it for more relatability and balance. Therefore, it prevent me from manifesting people who always want to compete. Now that makes me a higher octave Aries, which allows me to be Dolo the Polyman Man and actually have a community online. Other than me being Dolo the Polyman Man and it's somebody everybody hate, and I'm not charitable and I'm not relatable. Y'all get it? See what I'm saying? That's an example of someone who do shadow work. Thank you so much for the donation, King Indigo 369. You said don't stop to read, please keep teaching. I have to retire for the night, but this live stream is fire. Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, I ain't even get into the Mercury signs yet and the houses that everybody got to look towards in order to understand small tools to be able to help your mental illness a little bit, at least set you on a path to start getting into other psychologies even before I go live again, so you could pick up little, rituals and spells for yourself to help your mentality. Because once your mind gets set on a good path, you start being at the ocean to make your own cup. You start not being a swine and becoming your own little leprechaun and make your own gold and pearl. I'm saying real stuff. All right, now look. Now, Mercury signs. So let's say you got Mercury in Aries. So with Mercury in Aries, you have to learn how to use your passions for your relationships, so or to share space with others or another, which build mental ease because you don't feel like you have to think for yourself and others alone that long. Once you start to participate in this energy, you'll start manifesting others that got that kind of same mentality as you, and now you can start to have a mental ease and not feel always exiled from the world, because Mercury and Aries signs always feel exiled from the world because of their way of thinking. So learning how to use your passions for relationships, not just for how yourself supposed to think all the time, for your relationships, or to share space with others, because that built mental ease. Because the moment a Mercury in Aries could share space with another individual that's into the same things as them, because that's opposite from Libra. Libra is how we bring both of our things together. Aries is how we can have the same thing. So for the most part, when you can find a person that you can be into the same thing with, you build mental ease, which get rid of mental illness, because you're no longer in this trauma that you for your whole life never knew was a trauma or a mental illness. And anytime you're doing something, but you got somebody else doing the same thing you're doing, and they're taking half of the job, and y'all both got the same destination, that get rid of all mental illnesses for Mercury and Aries. Okay, now look, not all of it, my bad, because this is just a tool that'll help it a little bit. There's other tools though. Now, Mercury and Taurus, right? Mercury and Taurus is learning how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface. You got to be a little bit beyond just that check, or a little bit beyond how you be perceived, so people don't look at you like you don't got the know-how or so about something, or look down on you. Mercury and Taurus, you got to learn how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, or for more emotional depth. Because a lot of times y'all get so practical, you use your emotions to get out of the emotional funk other people is in, or you in, and you'll make yourself busy for more order or practicality or for other things. And sometimes this lack the true emotional connection you need in order for relationships to be the way it needs to be for you to truly feel fulfilled. So you could truly open your mouth and say you love someone in a genuine way, which may take 90 years to get to, being a Taurus. But at the same time, because you know y'all stubborn a little bit, you got to have some other alignments in your chart to make you a Taurus just freely saying I love you for no reason to people. You know what I'm saying? That other planet and that other element and alignment is forcing you to use your Taurus energy to get love and things. So you got to be careful, Tauruses. But in a nutshell, Mercury and Tauruses, learning how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, Scorpio. Or for emotional depth. Learn how to use your stability for the emotional depth, though. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, you will start to have more emotional intelligence, which leads to you having a way to get rid of mental illness and things of that nature. Because Taurus mental illnesses play out as making themselves busy. So anytime a Taurus heart broke or something like that, you may not see it at first because the way how they deal with their emotions. But if a Taurus, if it looked like they're being too busy about something, you know they going through an emotional damage at the moment. They're going through a heartbreak. They're going through somebody proved them wrong about something. Something. The way they express it is making themselves busy. Now, Mercury and Gemini. But yeah, finishing off with Mercury and Taurus. Learn how to use your practicality in things that's deeper than learn how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, or for more emotional depth, what helps emotional illness by having more emotional awareness and intelligence. Now, Mercury and Gemini, learn how to be more hands-on than open to advice or information all the time. So being hands-on is like Sagittarius, adventurer, experiencing, Jupiter. So learning as you go. Sometimes this can make Sagittarius be a fool, but we're talking about you, your opposite sign, right? Where you have to learn how to think with the Mercury and Gemini. You have to learn how to use your ability to obtain information or use your ability to think, but use that to learn how to start to do things more hands-on before needing advice or the full information all the time. It's okay to have a few conversations to get ideas, share ideas, or for the most part, to put yourself into a situation where you want to receive the right information first before talking about something or going about something. But the more you know how to take that way of doing something and still go out and experience something hands-on first, the more that you're going to learn more feeling intelligence, right? And you're going to prevent a lot of mental illness, because a lot of mental illnesses that come from Mercury Geminis is over analyzing things before communicating, is overthinking about things before actually expressing that idea. And for the most part, that becomes mental. So you have to have some equilibrium with your opposite energy. Every now and then, try to not reach for advice all the time or information or learning something before just doing something off the experience and learning during the experience. Learn how to use both. And therefore, you'll be in a situation where all those events, negative or positive, that you force yourself to, all those outcomes will be for the best, because you get rid of mental illnesses and develop more know-hows and stuff like that about your energy and your capabilities and incapabilities. AKA, those small times that develop mental illnesses won't be there, because you develop mental illnesses by thinking too hard anyway. So those days that you extremely think will be replaced with just learning on experience more and not waiting around for advice or trying to get the right information about stuff. And you might not know what's happening behind closed doors in the spirit world, but that's actually you playing equilibrium and getting rid of the times that actually would accumulate into a mental illness, overanalyzing all the time. See what I'm saying? Because you're already going to do that as a Gemini anyway. Now, Mercury in Cancer. This is going to be learning how to use your emotions or privacy for more useful things that can build off with that you could build things off of with yourself, family, or others you're close to create connection, with something to keep the mind having a purpose. So, Mercury and Cancers, y'all mental illnesses get developed by you not having a purpose or your mind not being busy. So your mind is left on what family support or not, or what you should do to help a family, or what you should do to emotionally secure yourself. None of these things be practical. Now, for the shadow government, they created a lot of jobs that got something to do with these things, so you might not know if this is emotional blockage or illness or not, because we got jobs like marriage counseling, we got jobs like daycare, we got jobs, you know what I'm saying? So a mental illness may not be perceived due to the fact of how the world is built, but a lot of emotional trauma and mental illnesses for Mercuries and Cancers come from this. And for the most part, the more that you know how to use your emotions and your privacy for more useful things that can build off with yourself, family, and others, aka built off Capricorn and things of that nature, right? That can be stable and useful, not just you always being in a mood and blaming the environment while you in that mood. You using that mood for something important or more productive, and since you already got this strong mood, emotion is directed in a more directed area. So whatever that productive area is, that strong mood you got get transmuted to make people to make your family and people that's close to you around you to care about whatever you doing, and to make them feel guilty or to make them feel like they're gonna get cussed out by your mood if they're not participating with that productive energy you putting it in. So that's how it can be used for something productive. If you're not directing all this Cancer energy for nothing productive, it's only going to be used for victimizing, claiming people not supporting. You know what I'm saying? And then Mercury in Cancer becomes very negative, and you're not building. So when you take this trauma and think somebody not supporting, take that lack of energy and direct it towards something productive, and make these people care about not supporting that productive thing. And then that's how you transmute that. Instead of making people care about your feelings, you're making people care about what you're throwing your feelings into. And that's how you transmute it as a Cancer, Mercury, and utilizing the opposite element. Now, when it gets into Mercury and Virgos, right? So develop a little bit of esoteric pills to ease this little mental illness in the esoteric world for Mercury and Virgos is learning how to use your worrying or your ability, because you're going to worry. Virgos, y'all had no choice. I don't even know a Virgo that ain't got something wrote down on their calendar. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. You know what I'm saying? And my mama a goddamn Virgo. And this goddamn shit. So ain't nothing none of y'all can tell me. Trust me. Ain't nothing none of y'all can tell me about no Virgo. You know what I'm saying? Now, other than that, but like I said, Mercury and Virgo, learning how to use your worrying or ability to keep in order a task of your dreams, emotions, or creativity, Pisces energy, and be a little bit more emotionally open. Stop worrying about if it's perfect or not, so you could build comfort, aka get familiar with and start to get comfortable with uncomfortability or rejection. And you may not always even experience a rejection. You may, this was a lot of you Virgos fail to realize. Sometimes y'all spend so much time worrying if you got it right. You still think you don't got it right. But when you actually present it, you actually get it way better than someone you thought had it right. But you never even put yourself in that position because you never think you got it right. You never think you got it perfected. Not knowing that little energy you put yourself in has a gift and a curse to it. The gift is, if you actually stop worrying and stop and thinking that and just think the imperfection is the perfection, then when you present yourself, you'll really start to realize you went overboard. You actually learned too much. You actually know how to do it too good. But you never develop that self-value sometimes if you're not around the right individuals in your life to speak those good energies around you. You might be around a bunch of people that always speak about failures first and other things we have to do to make sure something done right first. You might not be around people who speak good life into the environment, speak good life into the conversation. You got to be more around people like that as Virgos, especially as an upbringing. Because if you're a Virgo ascendant, sometimes you manifest people around you who ain't even Virgos, but that's their life. So it end up becoming your personality to always worry about things and always having to worry about the worst thing can happen, even if you didn't even jump into the thing yet to do it. But yay, Mercury in Virgo. Learn how to use your worrying learn how to use your worrying or ability to keep in order and task of things and focus that on opposite energies, your dreams, emotions, or your creativity, or being a little bit more emotionally open, which builds comfort to get to so you can start getting rid of mental illnesses and things of that nature. Pardon me. So you got to practice that equilibrium balance between everything don't need to be on a calendar. But it's good that you are a Virgo and people need people like you who know who can keep things on a calendar. So that's not saying don't write things on a calendar. It's just saying everything don't need to be when it comes to your dreams and things you inspire to do. Sometimes you just got to do it and know that you're going to go through a rejection and know that it's not perfect. And therefore, whatever you get ready to put on your calendar is just this new way of adjusting which you have experienced, and you wouldn't know how to do that if you didn't experience that rejection. And you're not always even going to experience rejection. So therefore, that develops already you get rid of why you be nervous and worry in the first place, because you are already expecting the things to that people go through as experiences that develop nervousness in the first place. And when you start to calculate those type of things and use your Virgo for those type of energies, before you know it, in the middle of the situations, you're not even worrying. Your mind is too busy doing other things because you're already having a set purpose to what you're actually doing and what you're expecting and what you're aware of. Now, Mercury and Libra. Learning how to see yourself through the lens of the devil advocate. I mean, hold on, Leo. My bad, because I ain't say Leo. I skip Leo. Mercury and Leo. Learning how to see yourself through the lens of devil advocate, aka learning how to see yourself outside of yourself a lot more. So you can be more aware of how you're coming across to others, which build emotional intelligence, which helps with mental oh shit. Almost bit my tongue. Which helps with mental intelligence, which helps with mental illness and give more clarity on being sure of your decisions, if it's right or wrong. Because a lot of times Leos and Mercury's and Leos are unaware of how they're coming across to other individuals. So when other individuals start to give them get back energy, like to make the Leo feel like they're doing too much, and when the Leo look at how they was expressing their character and start to come to the conclusion like, wait a minute, I ain't doing too much. A lot of times you may not be seeing it from another person's perspective and things of that nature. And you're only able to see it from the stage that you have created. So, because you want an audience. So a Leo made up the concept of good or bad publicity is good energy in some way, shape, or form. So when we start to talk about Mercury and Leo, you have to learn how to be more of the devil's advocate to yourself, which is the Aquarius energy, right? And learn how to hate yourself sometimes. And I'm not saying actually hate yourself. I'm saying learn how to put yourself in the shoes of someone else if they was to dislike you. So you can make up a figure in your mind and be like, all right, yeah, I'm this Mercury and Leo, and this how I act, right? Or this how I think and communicate. And create a golem in your mind that you would make up if you was around someone who don't like you. And then create this character and communicate with this character every day. You know what I'm saying? Just make up things that you would think another person wouldn't like you about. And what you're doing is you're creating a Aquarius golem. That's what you're actually doing. You don't even gotta learn about Aquariuses to do that. The moment you're doing something opposite, you are a Leo. You're doing that, it's automatically Aquarius. So whatever you do, it's automatically gonna be Aquarius. So don't worry about trying to learn about Aquarius. And the moment you create this little enemy friend in your mind, and then come up with all the concepts and things of that nature of how this person would dislike you, and then come up with weird outcomes of how can you convince this person to like you in some way, shape, or form, right? Now, what you're going to start to do is you're developing your subconscious mind. And in this time, you're so busy, you're not even thinking about mental illnesses either. What's going to happen is when you do start to express yourself and you're a person that's a Leo Mercury, a Mercury and Leo, and you got mental illnesses, what's going to happen is you're already going to have a heads up of how you see yourself and how you think other people see yourself, even if they're not seeing you like that. But you're going to have more emotional intelligence to be able to spot out the signs that a person would do, even if they're not saying it. It could be a body language, facial expression, a weird energy that they're giving you. And you'll be able to see these signs ahead of time to be able to decipher if you expressing yourself in a negative Leo Mercury way that may be a mental illness that you're figuring out how to get out of by being aware of this, by doing that self-evaluation of what I just taught you. See what I'm saying? And therefore, boom, that get rid of mental illnesses to a small degree, because there's more tools than astrology. Now, Scorpio, no, Libra, because we did Virgo. Now, Mercury and Libra. This is learning how to use your way of thinking and communicating for more things that deal with your passions, desires, and feelings, which help you connect with others on a deeper and a more emotional level. Because the thing that happens with Mercury and Libra signs is y'all forms of connection isn't really deep. So how y'all be thinking y'all be in deep connections be purely mainly on the premise of you just knowing about somebody's business, you just knowing somebody's ins and out, you just knowing when they go to work, you just in a relationship with them, and y'all probably balancing something out, y'all share something or y'all sexually invested into each other at the moment, so y'all have deep conversations. But when it comes to an emotional stability, what you Mercury and Libras fail to realize is whoever you connecting to, your partner, friend, or whatever like that, like it, y'all don't know what a person emotionally be feeling about y'all. Because emotionally, a person be feeling like y'all always trying to think for them, or y'all be always thinking y'all know what's going on with the situation or what's going on in somebody's mind. Y'all, this is what y'all be failing to realize, Mercury and Libras. Like a lot of times y'all have relationships with y'all family and friends and stuff like that, and every now and then you feel a weird energy, but based upon you being a communication sign, you manifest outcomes of it not looking like anything wrong at the moment. But when you start to feel weird energies and stuff, right, which you are unaware of, it's a fart cloud that's going on that you created, and you don't have the emotional depth that you think you do. You just think you do based on your Mercury is in Libra. But the weird energy that you're feeling is the people around you may not be saying it, but they're observing you like you think you know what's going on with the situation all the time. And you think just that conversation means you know how everybody feel and stuff like that too. And a lot of times you would make a person not even express their feelings to you on the pure basis of they know all you get ready to do is talk them out of it or make them sound like they don't make sense to be in that emotion. And you don't be knowing you're in relationships, and you don't be knowing that's the dynamic of it a lot of times. So when it do reach times of, like, let's say you married to somebody and it's at a point of no return and you guys get ready to divorce, and you be thinking, you be calling and you be talking and communicating, and you be in your mind thinking like, damn, why it ain't no way I can communicate or whatever like that to get things resolved? Why it just seem like we can't get back to why this ain't right? Because what I'm explaining right now, you never had that emotional depth to understand that. And sometimes that don't take conversation, that don't take word. And it take a body language and in this kind of connection at like we hear, where it don't even have to in an eye and an eye and an eye type of conversation, an eye for an eye, where it don't even take a conversation. Your partner could have in their mind and make up certain situations where if y'all was in a situation, they could make up in their own mind how you would act and be like, yeah, they're acting in that way and I'm comfortable with that. And you will be able to make up scenarios in your mind based on how your partner acting and be like, if we was in this situation, they would act the way that I know that I need them to act, how they acting now. And that didn't take no conversation. So that's like a occult esoteric way of connecting. And sometimes Libras, y'all don't know how to build that with others based upon you just being a Mercury and Libra. So keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Now, somebody said, I'm a Scorpio moon, though. I mean, I don't mean nothing. Like, a lot of times, y'all be getting Scorpio mistaken with you automatically be deep. Right? Like, because, like, I swear, like, 90% of Scorpios in my life wasn't deep for nothing. And when they be explaining that they deep, it purely be what someone taught them on astrology. So they be like, yeah, I'm a Scorpio, I'm deep, and nothing ever deep come out their mouth. Like they be in the sports, they be in all kind of dumb shit. The only deep Scorpios I ever met was people I was close to, and they had a little bit of me rubbed off on them. But yeah, you having Scorpio on your chart don't necessarily mean you deep. You know what I'm saying? And emotionally deep is different than just being deep thinking you know something. Emotionally deep just means you just take things too far. So Scorpios be needing to learn how to bring things to the surface level. Things don't be that deep in the aspect of you might go through an experience and start feeling a way about it that it ain't even that. Like it ain't even that deep. That person ain't even mean it like that. Whatever you coming up in your mind or your heart, that's what we talking about deep. We not talking about deep with Scorpios as you being more intelligent than somebody. We not talking about that kind of deep. We talking about deep that sometimes you go too far. You know what I'm saying? You might cheat too far. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have a conversation and take that sports conversation too far. You know, we talking about taking things too deep like that. Man, don't get wet off these words. Now, for the most part, so when we talk about Mercury and Scorpio, right? Now, Mercury and Scorpio, this is learning how to use your deep passions, motivations, and desires for more practical matters or surface level things, which build more mental stability. So you guys got to learn how to use your in-depth and your intuition for trying to get the right job, for trying to bring things to the surface level, for Taurus-like things. Or you're going to remain in la-la land thinking it ain't la la land in some way, shape, or form because you're taking something too deep. So your ability to go deep, yeah, that's cool. But if you could transmute that into a productive area, things that actually make sense, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, then therefore you'll start developing circumstances in your life where you'll start to realize, yeah, I wasn't supposed to go that deep. And then that start to get away, that start to separate you from all the situations you put yourself in that develop mental illnesses by going too deep on things that didn't need to be that deep, by having this mental training with yourself. See what I'm saying? Now, Mercury in Sagittarius. This is